forth at thine tailgate. Dilly dilly. Enjoy responsibly.
That was really weird. Okay, so I wanted to tell you all. I had told you some of the dreams that I had had. Well, I probably didn't told you, but they're on my channel anyway. About all at once, about God bringing the promises and the blessings all at once. And so you can go look at those, or if you want me to tell you sometime, I can tell you. But one of the dreams, the original dream that God gave me about all at once was over a year ago. And I'm sorry, somebody blew a horn. I think they're waving. So in this dream, I had been through a lot of things and struggles in the dream, a lot of back and forth on issues. And all of a sudden, I was in a water park, and I could tell it was like at an amusement park too. So it wasn't just the water park, but it had like amusement park rides. And I ended up meeting up with people that I loved that I hadn't seen in a long time, and was hugging them and hugging them, and just so happy. A restoration kind of dream. And on top of that, I looked around and I noticed my surroundings, and I was under this, those mushroom looking things. It's kind of like a fountain of sorts. There was a waterfall behind me, but it was almost like the mushroom thing where the water comes down over you. But if you stay under it really close, you don't get wet. But if you go under out from under the part where the type or mushroom type thing, whatever it is on the edge, there's water pouring down. I don't know what those are called, but they have them at water parks often. But I was underneath there with someone I love, and I was just really excited and happy. And I was like, yes, I knew this was going to happen. And it was just restoration and promises fulfilled. And then I looked around and realized where I was on top of it, and I went, oh, I'm at a water park and in an amusement park. And on top of that, it wasn't just that, but I could see or know somehow that the ocean was also near. And I'm an ocean fanatic, and the ocean dreams have been something that God has used to speak to me about all kinds of promises for a long time. And so I had this awareness that not only did I have someone I love, not only did I have the water park and the amusement park, and not only did I have that, but I knew the ocean was there too. And so I was just thrilled. And what I said in the dream, what I literally said in the dream, is I have it all at once. I have it all at once. And that was significant to me. It just felt so amazing to know that every single dream and promise that God has given me, I'm going to have. And then, that God was showing me I'd have them all at once. Now, my life at that time did not reflect that at all. Not at all. Um, far cry from that. And things got worse for me after that dream. So that felt, I don't know, kind of almost felt like I was set up. Have you ever had God give you promises and dreams, and then it seems like they're worse, for a long time instead of better? And it does make you doubt his promises, and it makes you, sometimes in your deepest hurt, you almost feel like lashing out at God, like, why did you set me up? That's how it feels in the human, but he's not setting you up. And so back in June of this year, just a couple of months ago, God told me just to be still and be silent. And I have spent so much time with God, and praying and reading his word and listening to sermons so much, and different prophets and ministries, and reading devotionals and things like that, and that's been amazing. But God said, just turn it all off and be still with me. And I have a hard time being still. But I did it, and I was squirming a lot about it. But when I did get quiet and still, he just spoke into my mind and my heart and spirit, not through someone's word, not even through his word in the Bible, but just to me. And he reminded me he gave me a flash of a time when I was in college, when I was healthy and thinner and strong. And, I hadn't had some of the traumas that I've had now. I felt more successful and whatever. And I felt like a lot of hope that my life was going to be on track. But in that time, when you're in college and you're at that age, if you're not married, and you're everything you're doing for a future moment. And you can sometimes think, wow, when is my life going to be my life? When am I going to have everything that I'm working to get, and you could see some people around you who maybe they didn't take the career, not the career path, but the college path you did, and they got married, and already had children, and maybe they had already kind of started their and you could look at them and go, um, how come my life's not like that? When am I going to have that? I'm working hard for all these things, but it's still, a few years till I graduate, blah, blah, blah. When am I going to have, my life and my things? And so, and if you're a Christian and you're obeying God, you're not uh, having the type of relationships that other people have, and you're lonely because sometimes when you won't do things that people do in relationships as a Christian, you're isolated a lot, you're secluded, and you're alone. And that's the sacrifice sometimes you make for being obedient, but it's not a sacrifice because you're avoiding a whole lot of pain. But at that time in your life, or at any time in your life that you're like that, it can feel like a sacrifice and you can feel very lonely and isolated. And I lived alone and I didn't have a kid either. So, obviously I hadn't been married yet. Um, so one of the things, my promises then was believing for a husband and the family. And I thought, I'm glad I'm working for a career. I'm glad I'm working in college. I'm doing all this. But if I don't have a family, if I don't have the husband I want and the children I want, or, then what's the point, And I would get sad and I'd have a hard time waiting. And back then I used to solo at church. And there was a song I would sing by Twyla Pierce called I Will Wait. And it was I Will Wait on the Lord, and had a lot of good scripture references basically in it from Isaiah and Psalms 27, or for me, because that was two of my life verses, Psalm 27:14 and Isaiah 40:31. When you're a waiting person, then you often get waiting scriptures. If you look those up, you'll see why. But God reminded me of that time period, and he just gave me a flash of myself practicing that song in my tiny little ratty apartment, not rats ratty, but you know what I mean, crappy little apartment by myself. And I could just feel like I was transported there, singing that song and feeling lonely and wondering when my life would begin. And he reminded me of that. And he reminded me that even as I graduated and got married, seems like I never had everything I wanted at once. Not that anyone does necessarily, but if when I had friends, good close friends, I didn't have a boyfriend or a husband, and I was really poor and didn't have my career started. When I got my career, I didn't have my friends. I had friendships that had fell apart, and I lost people, and I'd lost my father and different things like that. And it just seemed like I'd see people and they would have maybe a stable career and a husband and friendships and good health and enough money, and not that their life was perfect, but they had kind of things lined up. And I felt like I only had like maybe one thing at a time or two things at a time. And my whole life, that's always felt that way, I had a marriage. When I had my marriage, I didn't have my friendships. And then whenever I had my kid, it was an abusive marriage, so I had to get out of the marriage. So then I've had the kid by herself without the husband and the father. And things have been in bits and pieces. When I could work, I didn't have a marriage or children, and now I've had the child and I've not been healthy, not been able to work. And it's always been this thing where I'm always missing something. I'm always longing for something. And it's not a matter of not being satisfied. I've found a way to be content no matter what state I'm in. But there is a part of me that wonders why you can't have things working and functioning. And so God reminded me of how I've always felt that way, like I've never had it all at once. And then he reminded me, I gave you that dream, that what you've been longing for, your heart's desire since college or even younger, is to have it all at once. And he reminded me of the life I had as a college girl in my own little apartment. He gave me a dream just last year that I will have it all at once. And for me, that's going to mean healing. That's going to mean healing. And that's going to mean career and purpose again, which is working out. I'm not in a career right now, but I'm on a path. And a door has opened, a couple of doors. And a healing has begun. I could talk more about that later, but it's the start. It's the start of these things. And so God reminded me, you are going to have it all at once. But he was letting me know too, he reminded me of that girl I was in college. He reminded me of that girl, and he was saying, you weren't ready. You would have destroyed what I gave you. You wouldn't have appreciated what I gave you. You wouldn't have been prepared for what I would have given you. If I had the right marriage, not that I should have had an abusive one, period, but if I'd had the right kind of godly marriage, I myself wasn't even ready for that. I thought I was. I longed for it. I wanted it. But there were so many things I needed to be healed from, and so many ways I need to learn how to better communicate. Um, Things like that. If I'd had the right guy in the right marriage, I was probably so unprepared. Even if he'd have been the right guy, I wouldn't have been the right girl. And God's letting me know that I am now. I'm not perfect. I'm gonna have issues, and all marriages do. But I'm prepared and I'm healed and I'm ready. And so now when he gives me that, I won't destroy it. I won't have the problems and the stress or any kind of destruction. I won't cause the kind of hurt for someone that I might have accidentally caused before. Uh, as far as the career, I may have become, I know I would have become a workaholic. I was always overdoing. And if I'd have had a career while I was raising my kid, I probably would have been a really terrible mom, a very negligent mom, because I get very focused on my purpose. I get very focused on getting things done. And me being sick as a mom caused me to slow down. And I have a child that needed me to slow down. We've talked about it, me and her. She's 15, and I told her, she's seen spurts whenever I'm feeling better and how driven and busy I am, and it exhausts her, and she kind of hates it. Honestly, I may have lipstick on my teeth. I think so. Okay. Anyway, sorry, but she kind of hates that, and so I tell her, I'm like, well, boy, if you hate this hour spurt of energy I've got here, you would not have liked me if I'd have been healthy as a healthy mom. Um, you wouldn't have enjoyed that. And she goes, I know that I wouldn't. You would have probably make me be busy. You would make me go do things. And she's a little more laid back. She doesn't have, I don't want to say anything negative, but she doesn't have the driven work ethic that I have. And what little bit I have expected of her and drug her around to do has worn her out, and she's kind of resented it. So if I'd have been a healthy mom and driven the way that I was before, I don't think we would have had a very good relationship. And I'm pretty sure that I would not have paid attention to things that she needed me to pay attention to, and helped her work through things and heal and grow to be the woman that she's going to be. And can you imagine how horrible that would be to finally get the kid that I prayed for and dreamed for and loved, and then not even parent her correctly? You know, to bypass those things because I was so spreading myself thin and so driven that I wouldn't give my focus to where God wanted me to put it at the time. And so I'm saying all this to say, I think we're about to realize and understand why there's been a wait. When we do everything at once and we see what it requires of us, what kind of an attitude, what kind of patience, what kind of love, sacrificial love, what kind of frame of mind to appreciate it, what's required of us in the season that we're going into with these promises, with these purposes and ministries and callings and job opportunities and relationships, these promises that are coming, we're going to see that they would not have worked any other way. They wouldn't have worked any other way. And, we've probably lamented, if you're like me, you've lamented that you've had to wait. You've lamented and whined, maybe some, hopefully not, but, I'm human and I'll have to admit that I have. You've been frustrated because you want it now and you want it soon and you don't understand the reason for the wait. But you're going to understand the reason for the delay. You're going to get it. It's going to make sense. It may even make sense before you get it. I don't have all of the promises at once at this moment. When I do, I'll make a big video, and you probably won't be able to handle it because I'll be jumping up and down and yay, and it'll get kind of annoying, but it'll be celebratory. And I'd say you guys will do the same. I hope you do. I hope you make videos when you get your promises. I want to know. I want to know. When you start receiving your promises, please post it. I want pictures. I want videos. I want celebration dances. I know the Lords will do that. At least Devin. Devin, you'll dance. I know you will. Right? Great. Okay. And I want to see the excitement. I want to see when Shelly's business takes off and she gets that connection with that big name. I want to see that on Facebook. That's going to be on there. I want to know when your marriage is restored. We've been praying for each other, right? I want to know. I want to see that reunion photo. I want to see that hug and kiss on that profile picture. I want you all to see me healed and healthy. And the things that I'm going to get to do. Um, and I'm going to be sharing. I'm going to overshare. And when God brings the blessings, oh my goodness, you're going to hear it all the way wherever you live, across the world, across the country. You'll hear it. I'll be shouting it, and I will be putting it on here anyway, so you will hear it one way or the other. But even before we get the blessing, I believe in this season, right now on the cusp of them coming, I believe that God is opening our eyes to reveal to us why we had to wait. I see him taking the blinders off. I see him revealing things and giving you awareness of, oh, okay, this all makes sense now. But I just was reminded of that, how he had recently had me be still and quiet. So maybe be still and quiet, um, and ask him to open your eyes and see what he has to tell you about why you've had to wait. And ask him if your promises are coming off at once. And praise him in advance. Praise him in advance. Don't wait. Don't wait till they get here. Praise him now. I'm going to go pick up my kid, but I'm so excited, and I just had to share that too. And soon I've got dreams to tell you that came true, and I'm going to show you. But I don't have the things with me to show you, but I want you to see the visuals to go along with it. Okay, comment, let me know any dreams you've had that have come true, or any reasons that you've seen why you've had to wait, because it'll encourage each other if we share those things. So thanks, bye. Can't miss the close. I'm bad at this, y'all. Come on, phone, work with me.